I've been trying to do a video about all the music that I like, but I'm finding it really difficult to rank or categorize any of it. So these are just like a few bands that I think you should check out. So a few years ago, I went to see a friend perform some spoken word in a pub in Camden, and there was a song playing, and it literally sounded unlike anything I'd ever heard before. The song was Stained by Android Lust, and there's a great video to it, which you should be watching instead of me. So Android Lust is actually just one woman, Shaki, and she creates these super dark electro-industrial albums that are kind of weird and haunting, but kind of beautiful at the same time. The Dividing is probably my favourite album, but they're all great. There's something about the world that Shaki creates with her music that's kind of bleak and fucked up, but I think it's a world that I kind of like to live in. Android Lust is often the soundtrack to my morning commute. So Hersk and Ecstasy are a band that I caught as a random support act for someone else's band, except I can't even remember who that someone else was. I was one of 5 people watching them because everyone else was at the bar, and they had one CD, Sex, Drugs, Art. Now, I rarely buy anything from the merch table at gigs, but I bought the CD, the poster, the fucking t-shirt, all of it, and mostly because of how great they were live. Like, they tore up that stage that night, literally. They even trashed the main act's drum kit. And they did this amazing costume gimmick where they came out all wearing white, and then over the course of their, 30 minutes or whatever, this fake blood started to appear, and the stains, grew and grew until they all looked like Sissy Spacek at the end of Carrie. They were like Gigi Allen mixed with, I don't know, fucking Talking Heads or something. It was the most unique performance I've ever seen. And just like the best performance, it's gone now. Never to be repeated. It was there just for the 5 of us in that room at that time. And now it only exists in our memories. And I love that. But then I hate it all at the same time. So The Residents are probably my favourite band. I found them searching for weird videos on YouTube. Someone recommended The Act of Being Polite, and it's probably the best music video ever. So then I went online and I ordered the entire back catalogue. Duckstab is probably my favourite album of theirs. There's something really menacing about Constantinople, and Hello Skinny is just fucking weird. I saw them live once. I was 18 and they just released this album called Bunny Boy. There was a web series that went with the album, and it was about this guy who makes videos in a room on his own. Now this was 2008, so YouTube hadn't even been around that long. Then at one point, this guy receives an email suggesting that he makes his videos more entertaining. So he puts on this weird rabbit suit to oblige. And then later on, he dreams about this vast room lined with thousands of mirrored balls. In the centre, there's this dead rabbit. That image has always stayed with me. So Brighton is such a great place for music. And I was thinking about doing a video about my favourite Brighton bands. But if we're talking about my favourite bands ever, then I have to mention Electrolane. So they're basically a rock band, they play guitars and stuff, but there's an avant-garde sensibility to their music. For example, there's a 10-minute song called Long Dark, which goes from catchy guitar riffs to weird soundscapes and back again. So if you want to know which album to start with, then Axis is probably the most accessible, but Rocket to the Moon is definitely my favourite. So that's my list. Speaking of Brighton, a couple of people have pointed out that at least one of my favourite Stalkers videos looks like it was filmed in Brighton. I don't care. I'm over it. So please don't post any more links to his channel. Anyway, so if you want to list your own top 4 bands, pop them in my comments, and I'll see you next week.